All right, guys, we just heard an amazing set by Ryan here. We're just trying to get to know him a little more. Ryan, with that last song, what was your inspiration? What were your inspirations for writing that one?
Sure. Yeah, for the musical vibe was definitely a early '60s, late '50s kind of. Yeah. Actually, as Doug mentioned earlier, like Roy Orbison-ish
Okay,
type
okay.
sound. Those have actually always been my favorite type of music is '50s, '60s. Just growing up hearing it, and still to this day, it's my favorite band's the Beatles.
Oh
Right,
yeah,
you know.
oh
So
yeah.
lyrically though, I came up with the chords first and the style
Mm-hmm.
first, and I just needed lyrics. So I wanted to. It was screaming to me that it was a love song. You know, I was like, okay, it's a love song. I could hear, like, I vision people slow dancing to it at a prom in 1958 or 1960.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wanted to write lyrics that were like love lyrics, and basically just kind of thought about the relationship I'm in. I've been with my wife now for 10 years, and we've got 3 kids, and we're still going strong. So it's easy to get inspiration from that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And especially too in the beginning of the lyrics, it sang about wanting somebody or needing somebody. And since I have been with my person for 10 years now, I just kind of go back to when we first met,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I get inspiration too, and ideas for songs.
Okay,
That way.
all right. Who were your main influences when you were growing up and getting into music? Who did you listen to the most?
Sure. Well, it all started with the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
I remember specifically in the 8th grade, I discovered the Sgt. Pepper's album, and it was one of those things where I listened to it in my room and shut my eyes, and like literally, it felt like an out of body experience,
Mm-hmm.
and to the point where I'd be in class daydreaming about the Beatles rather than listening to anything else.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah, and then I was really into the Red Hot Chili Peppers too growing up.
Okay. All right.
I just love acts that are melodic, have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of melody to them. I tend to listen to melody before the lyric when I hear songs. And so, yeah, it's bands like that. Like right now, I'll stick to that question in case you ask a question later. But basically, yeah, the Beatles for sure. Elvis too, like
Oh
you
yeah.
were saying
Yeah.
that you love
Yeah.
Elvis. Yeah, just groups like that. Queen. I remember VH1 Classic when they used to play music videos, just
Oh
like
yeah.
MTV
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
back in
Yep.
the day, prehistoric age. Um, VH1 Classic would play Rolling Stones videos, Beatles videos, Queen, Elvis, all this stuff, and I grew up watching that, and it just really I absorbed it all, and then that's when I knew I wanted to get into music.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, like what made you want to make your band Velvet Vinyl?
Yeah. So it kind of happened a little bit on very organically. Like I compare it to when you find somebody that you like a relationship.
Okay.
How it seems like when you find somebody that you really connect with, it happens out of nowhere
Mm-hmm.
rather than you're trying to find it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so basically what happened was I didn't have a band. I actually wasn't playing music for about 3 years. And I wanted to get back into it. And it was actually a simple Facebook post that I put out there. And I said, does somebody want to just jam with me? And my friend Carrie, who plays the fiddle, messaged me and said, yeah, let's get together and play.
Okay.
So we got together and played, and we performed as a duo for about 4 or 5 years. And the way I like the direction of the band, Violet Vinyl, is that we treat the fiddle almost like a lead guitar.
Okay.
So instead of having like Slash up there going like just thrashing it,
Yeah.
instead I have a fiddle player who's thrashing the fiddle.
Okay.
And if we play a cover song, she'll play the guitar part on her fiddle.
Huh.
So that's kind of how we get people who are into rock and roll to like us. Or I feel like we appeal to everybody, and that's kind of like the band I want to be in, kind of like the Beatles, where you're playing you anyone can listen to you and like you.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
not
absolutely.
like you're say for instance your best friend's band who it's like a heavy metal thrash band, and you're like, well, sorry, Grandma's not gonna be able to go, and neither is little Timmy. But our band, anybody can come, anyone can show up. It's fun for all ages.
Okay, all right. How long has Violet Vinyl been around?
Yeah. So we've been together for now about I would say 6 years actually, and we have a bass player who he kind of. It was funny. He was playing in the local band Athen Rye for a long time.
Okay.
And he was actually, which he would actually admit to, he was crashing our shows. He would show up and say, "Can I just jam with you?" We're like, "Yeah, sure." So he would jam with us and start playing, and then we turned into a 3-piece. And then of course I started playing foot percussion, and so now we're just kind of a 3-piece power trio. So yeah, we've been doing the band thing about 5 to 6 years, and then so we're finally working on an album.
Awesome. How did you get into the percussion side of the band?
Sure, that's a great question. So when I play guitar, I've actually had people tell me I play percussive-ish, like in a percussive style, which actually I've kind of noticed. It's funny you don't pick up on those things yourself sometimes, and someone points it out. So I kind of, a lot of times I'll smack my hand on like the strings as I'm strumming the guitar, and it'll give like a percussion type sound.
Got it.
So I was doing that for years and years and years, and after seeing like bands like Mumford and Sons and Lumineers, and seeing like these guys play kick drum while they play guitar, I was like, I want to do that. I want to give it a shot. I want to try it. So it all started with a foot tambourine that I was playing earlier. I threw that on, and it was hard as heck at first. And typical me, I didn't practice at all before I went and played the gig. I just threw it on. I'm like, let's just do it. And I screwed up a few songs, but then I got comfortable and was in my wheelhouse. So then the foot tambourine I was doing really well with it. And then I was like, okay, I want to add more to this. I want to get to the point where I actually don't need a drummer anymore, and not that I don't want a drummer.
Right.
It's just sometimes the smaller the better in your groups.
Yeah, no, that makes sense completely.
But yeah.
If you were to give any advice to a beginning songwriter or a musician who's just wanting to get out there and perform, what would you say?
Yeah. So in regards to musicians wanting to get out and perform, you're so lucky these days with social media, because you're always seeing on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter that like, this local place is having open mic night, or your local musician is playing a gig. I would say reach out to the places that have local mic nights. Get your start there. Go out. Like Coffee Amici, I think, in town Findlay has open mic night every Friday night. Yeah, and it's a great place for if you're an aspiring musician, you want to get out and play. Go to Coffee Amici, get your feet wet. They have their own sound system. All you have to do is plug in, just bring your guitar, your piano, your kazoo, whatever you want. And then another great thing too is to contact other local musicians. You can contact a local musician and say, hey, like, I really want to get my name out there. Can I open a set for you? And most local musicians, they'll want to hear you, of course, because they're not going to want you to come up and say you're in a thrash accordion, band or something, and then you embarrass them.
Right.
So, they're going to want to hear you. But if they, listen to you, you're doing well, they would love to have you open for them. Because honestly, musicians, they'll have like, say, a 3-hour set. Yeah. And if someone can take off a half hour to an hour for that, and that musician's still getting paid the same rate, they're going to be like, do it. Go ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'll play 2 hours. And plus, it just feels good to get people in there to get their name out. And then with your question with songwriting, I would say just don't rush it. Keep what I do is I walk around the house, any chance I get, I'm fiddling around the guitar, I'm playing notes, I'm doing this. And then if I catch a riff, immediately record it. Okay. Right? Record it down on your phone, anything, and then just slowly keep building on it. Sit down, write a piece of paper. Everyone has a different way of writing music, but just take your time, because if you try to rush something, then it's just not going to come out the way you want it to.
Right.
Because it's like art, as if you're painting a picture. You want to slowly just keep adding those colors and making that canvas. You don't want to just go, okay, I've got 5 minutes to paint the Mona Lisa. Let's do this.
Yeah, I know that I'm also an aspiring songwriter.
Nice.
I've had troubles just coming up with the concept for a song,
Sure.
let alone what you do.
Yeah.
And just thinking about exactly what you just said, just taking your time. I will definitely I'll definitely think about that.
Yeah.
One final question.
Sure.
How does it feel when you're up on that stage with Violet Vinyl and you're engaging the audience? How does that feel for
Wow.
you and the band?
Yeah. It feels amazing, to be honest with you. Like I've performed, I've done musical theater, show choir, all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah.
It literally is a high. Like it is the natural drug that just makes you feel. I'm getting like almost goosebumps talking about it.
I see that.
It's amazing. And when you're up there and people are enjoying it, it's an incredible feeling, especially when you get feedback, when people are clapping, people are tapping their foot, people are mouthing the lyrics of a song that you wrote.
Oh wow. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
incredible. And honestly, the smaller groups, the smaller intimate crowds are the best, because everyone's attention is on you. They're listening. They're here to see you. I've performed actually. I did Boogie on Main last year with my other band, Unsub. We're a cover rock band, and that was amazing. But at the same time, not everyone was paying attention. People were talking, having their conversations.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and honestly, when I'm on that type of stage, I'm kind of a madman because the adrenaline is through the roof.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm just
absolutely.
like all over the place. But it just feels incredible. It really does. And yeah, like I said, even for the smaller intimate crowds, I've even played places where there's 2 people listening, and if they're into it, it just still feels great.
Oh, yeah.
and incredible.
Well, that's awesome, Ryan. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you, man.
We-
Appreciate it. Thanks to all you guys. Appreciate it.
And I want to thank all of you for listening. This has been the WLFC Lounge. Thank you all for listening, guys.